Hi. I thought I'd put in some green beans this year, especially since I've got this trellis already here that'll support the green beans as they grow up. You know how heavy they can get. So I thought I'd just put some in. I've got everything here. I've got my rocks, got my soil, you know, rocks for drainage, and of course soil. But now that I'm getting started, I realize I don't have my gloves. And that's going to ruin my hands. Can't do that. Because even though I love gardening, more than that, I love quilting. Now I know I have all my tools for that. So I guess I'll put off putting the green beans in and go do some quilting. Come on, why don't you join me? Hi, welcome to Quilting Inspirations with Ariele. I'm your quilt teacher. Today, this segment will be going over the tools of quilting. Some of the basic tools, that is. Right now, one of the things I consider a basic tool is a good cream to rub on your hands that's non-greasy, that won't get your fabrics all oily and everything. Not a regular hand lotion. This is a special one. And you can find this at different locations, sewing locations and things like that. It won't leave, like I said, a greasy residue on your fabric. So I wash my hands a lot, so I really need to keep my hands moist with that. Well, here I have some rulers. You want to get yourself a good 6-inch by 24-inch ruler if you're going to do rotary cutting. And a lot of quilting today is done with rotary cutting. And when I say rotary cutting, that means you're going to be using a rotary cutter. This tool here, this is I believe it's a 40-inch. Don't quote me on that, okay? But it has a safety feature here. You click this on this particular style or brand to release the blade, and you use that on this mat here. This surface here is called self-healing mat. And what you do is you lay your fabric out with your ruler here, or you can also use a smaller ruler. Like I said, I have various rulers. And you'll cut on the mat, and it won't cut the mat apart. It's self-healing. It's kind of self-explanatory. Let's see what else. Of course, I've got a pin cushion here. I have, what else have I got in here? I've got my shears. You still need a good pair of shears, bent-handled shears for cutting. I have smaller, I don't know what the real name of this one is, but a nice little nipper. I like to call it a nipper pair of scissors. Cut small threads. Tape measure. Quilting pencil, chalk pencils. I have fabric glue. A good pencil sharpener, thread. I've got some what we call fat quarters here. You're going to need a seam ripper. This is one of many different styles of seam rippers. Let's see, of course, like what I said, thread. But those are some of the basic tools of quilting. You're going to need a thimble. I've got this nice flexible one. There's so many on the market. There are leather ones, and you say, well, if I'm going to be quilting, does that mean I'm going to be hand quilting? Not necessarily, but you may want to. So get yourself a nice thimble that you're comfortable with, and you might experiment with a lot of different styles and stuff like that. Let's see, what have I got in here? Another pair of small nipper scissors. I've got some quilting tape. This tape comes 1/4 of an inch wide and 1/8 of an inch wide. You can use this for hand quilting or machine quilting. I also have here some quilting needles for my sewing machine. These come in size 11 and 12, and it says right here, quilting needles. Also, of course, you know you're going to need a nice, no, not really nice. When I say nice, I want to say a working sewing machine, one that's in good condition with a 1/4-inch foot, or you can take that off on your the plate of your machine. for your quilting. I do some quilting, sewing quilt patches by hand, but we'll get into that in a later segment. You do want to remember to do is to buy the best tools that you can, because you want your tools to last you for a while. Now let's see, rotary cutter, bent handle shears, fabric marking pencils, rotary cutting ruler, self-healing mat, seam ripper, thread, good threads, fabric glue, a good cream for your hands that's not oily, thimble for hand quilting, and of course a good sewing machine. Now when I say good, like I said before, it doesn't have to be a really expensive one, but one that's in good working condition. Anyone will do. One that will do a good straight stitch to start off. So it doesn't have to be anything expensive. The fabrics you want to start with, or that are traditionally used, are cottons, 100% cottons. You can use blends. You can actually use anything you want. Actually, I've seen people who are into quilting that use metal. So whatever your medium. But the medium that is most used in quilting is fabric, is cotton. Excuse me, cotton fabric. Now, also, what would help is a good book on quilting. This one just happens to be about rotary cutting. A reference book, a good reference book on techniques that gives you measurements on different size quilts, different styles of quilts, like different patterns, I should say. Now what we're going to be starting with is a strip quilt. There are different techniques in quilting. There's strip quilting, paper piecing, I'm sure I could go on and on, but those are my two favorites, strip quilting and paper piecing. Now, like I was saying, my favorite forms of quilting so far are strip quilts and paper piecing. Let me show you an example. Here's some fabric cut into what is known as strips. And from that came this quilt block, as you can see, the strips here. This quilt behind me also, believe it or not, was cut from strips of fabric and then re-sewn together to form the design. The other form of quilting that I like, known as paper piecing. You say, what is paper piecing? Just that. Here's a pattern. The pattern for the quilt block is on a piece of paper. You sew it to the wrong side of the paper, following the lines. We'll get into that. So, that's what basically our projects are going to consist of right now. Either paper pieced or strip quilt. Those I find easier to teach, and you get a lot more accuracy from those type of projects. Now, what I want to show right now is some technique on how to use your rotary cutters. The rotary cutters come with safety features built in. This particular kind, you unscrew the screw in the back and pull back that safety edge, so that you don't cut yourself with what looks like a pizza cutter. This one basically has the same type of feature, except for you don't bother the screw in the back. You just pull back this lever here and the blade is revealed. Now, it's always suggested that when you're using a rotary cutter, well, when you're not using your rotary cutter, you put that safety shield back on so that you don't accidentally cut yourself. So you say, well, how do you use this? Let me clear a spot here. And using this as a demonstration,